Well, the new report about the cash payment to Iran comes just after a year after President Obama's nuclear deal with that country, a deal that many people still criticize. John Jessup has that.
That's right, Pat. The United States, along with 5 other world powers, signed that deal with a stated goal of preventing Iran from getting a nuclear bomb. But as Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem, critics still warn it could actually have the opposite effect and allow Iran to build nuclear weapons.
U.S. President Barack Obama hailed the deal as a diplomatic breakthrough when it was signed.
After 2 years of negotiations, the United States, together with our international partners, has achieved something that decades of animosity has not: a comprehensive long-term deal with Iran that will prevent it from obtaining a nuclear weapon.
Despite the praise by President Obama and others, 1 year later, some experts still warn that the flaws within the agreement could mean that instead of preventing the Persian nation from building a nuclear weapon, it could lead to a nuclear Iran, with potentially catastrophic results for Israel, the Middle East, and even the United States itself.
Their major goal in this negotiation was to get maximum sanctions relief in exchange for absolute minimal nuclear concessions. And that's basically what they got with this deal.
Emily Landau, an Israeli nuclear expert, believes Iran won the negotiations. It can walk away from the deal at any time. And the agreement failed to address Iran's ballistic missile program.
And their biggest victory is not having their breakout capability destroyed, undermined, dismantled. Not only that, they gained legitimacy for their uranium enrichment.
Throughout the negotiations, the Obama administration presented a narrative that said if you don't support the deal, you're for war. They also presented Iranian President Rouhani as a moderate. Former CIA official Claire Lopez believes the administration wasn't honest with the American public.
We're looking at a real coordinated effort to deceive the American people about this deal while not even touching on the covert program, which of course is where the weapons development is really going on, literally underground in bunkers and tunnels under mountains.
Lopez cites the now infamous New York Times Magazine article. In it, National Security official Ben Rhodes said they used the media as an echo chamber to help push its argument to the public in the U.S.
Trying to sell all of that package of goods through duplicity and deceit, but using a very agreeable, a very complicit media in the United States is what that echo chamber was all about.
While the deal puts restraints on Iran for 10 or 15 years, Landau says they don't mind.
Looking at the long term, which is what Iran does, they've kept their breakout capability. Even if they have to wait out 10 to 15 years till the sunset clause comes into effect and all these restrictions that we're talking about, whether they uphold them, whether they violate, everything will be lifted. And then they will be much better positioned in any case to move towards a nuclear weapons capability.
While ISIS has seized the headlines in the West, Landau and Lopez believe Iran remains the far greater danger.
A country that can develop intercontinental ballistic missile capabilities that could, maybe within 10 years even, reach the United States, obviously we're talking about a different order of magnitude.
No comparison at all. The threat from the Iranian regime is existential, particularly as regards their nuclear weapons capability and the EMP component of that.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Thanks, Chris. Pat, back to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, doesn't that chill you to think Ben Rhodes acknowledged in the New York Times, acknowledged that they were trying to deceive the American public and use a compliant press to sell their message? Why? Why does the president want to cozy up to our enemies and stiff our allies? That's what happened. He turned his back on Israel. He turned his back on Saudi Arabia. He's turned his back on Jordan. He's turned his back on Egypt, those who would be our friends, and embraces Cuba and embraces Iran. What is it? Is there something there that we don't see? But it certainly is on the surface. It is very disturbing. And you talk about this election coming up. This is major, major problem. And they mentioned also the EMT, if you heard our guest yesterday, warning about the danger of an electronic magnetic pulse that could be triggered by just a small, low-yield nuclear device exploded in the air over the midsection of America.